Hey, what's going on YouTube? It's your boy, Brandy Boy, back at it again with another Fallout 4 video. For this video, I'll be highlighting all my favorite heads-up display mods. If you haven't seen my last video covering the user interface, then I suggest you watch that one too, seeing as they're both related subjects. Just like I mentioned in that video, you'll have to download 3 framework mods before anything else: the mod configuration menu, HUD framework, and Def UI. After those are installed, then you're good to go. So with all of that out of the way, let's go ahead and get into the mods. The first one I've got here is called Ammo UI HUD by toounx. The main file adds in a new element to the HUD that displays what ammo your weapon is using, along with an icon to match it, which is what you see in the bottom right corner. Another feature though, is that a suppressor icon will show up whenever you switch weapons. If you've got a suppressor, the icon will be green, but if not, then it'll flash red and have an X next to it. Not everyone may like this feature, so if you want, you can turn it off in the MCM. While you're here, you can also change the positioning of the ammo HUD. And also, you'll have to go to the MCM first anyway to actually enable the mod. If you want the HUD preset though, then make sure to download that in the optional files. As you can tell, it shifts some things around in the HUD. Most notably, the health and AP bar are now stacked, and the crosshair is now a dot, so you can get more accurate hipfire. Overall, it makes the HUD look a little bit sleeker, and it is currently my favorite HUD preset. Another great HUD mod from toounx is kill tips and hit sound. To summarize it, it makes the HUD look more like Call of Duty by adding in either a kill feed or a stylish pop-up medal whenever you get a kill. What's really awesome is that it's compatible with a lot of gun mods out there, so you'll see the silhouette of your favorite gun mod whenever you get a kill with it. If it isn't compatible though, then it'll just show a skull icon instead. Other than that, it also changes the hit marker sound, and you can choose between a few different options. It also adds in a kill sound, so whenever the enemy is fully neutralized, it'll play a different sound. And again, there's some options for that too. It's all in the MCM. The coolest one though, is the ghost voiceover. Every time you get a kill, you'll have Ghost from Call of Duty talk to you over a comms channel.
Target neutralized. Perfect.
Another neat HUD element this mod adds is a heartbeat monitor, which you'll see in the bottom left corner after you turn it on from the MCM. By default, it'll be a big vertical bar, but I downloaded the optional file that turns it into a heart icon instead, so it doesn't clutter my screen too much. This edition doesn't have much of a function, but it does measure your heart rate as you sprint around, which is a nice touch of immersion. All this mod needs now is a minimap, and it'll be 100% complete. But jokes aside, this mod is fantastic, and I love how all the new HUD elements were implemented. If you want to continue to add in more COD-like HUD into the game, then you should try out Nameplates, floating health bars, by Expired. With this one, you'll see a big health bar above NPCs whenever they are in combat. Friendlies will be blue, and enemies will be red. You can configure the colors to be different within the mod's ini files if you want, but I never messed with it. Anyway, the mod itself is very intuitive. The health bars perfectly hover above the heads of NPCs, just as a floating quest marker would, so I gotta give some props to the mod author for being clever. Another great mod to complement that one is Cassent's floating damage mod. As you guessed it, it displays the amount of damage you're dealing on your screen, just like in the Borderlands series. So now you can gaze in awe at the amount of destruction you're causing, or you can use this mod as a diagnostic tool to see what damage you're actually dealing after armor and resistances are factored in. Either way, it's a pretty sweet mod, and you can customize a couple things too. From the MCM, you can change the color of the floating numbers, or even mess with the positioning and how long they last, but I think the default settings are already good. Another nifty mod you may want to try from Cassent is HUD++. All it does is add in a new HUD element whenever you're looking at something in a container or an object on the ground. A new box will pop up showing you the stats of what you're looking at, so you know what you're getting into before you have to pick it up. It just saves you a bit of time, so no longer do you have to pull up your Pip-Boy and scroll around to determine whether or not that item was really worth picking up. And just like pretty much every other mod, this one's got an MCM too, and you can toggle certain options or just adjust the positioning of the HUD. For the next mod, this one does quite a few things. It's called Active Effects on HUD. It shows your current status effects in the top right corner of your screen after you take a consumable. It'll also show you how long that effect will last, which is a handy tool to have so you know exactly how much longer you have till your buffs run out. But that's not all. When you pull up the MCM, there's a lot of options to mess around with. From here, You can enable a new tab on your Pip-Boy, which shows your current effects, as well as active values, which is a nice utility tool. Another thing you can add to the HUD though, is a bar that displays your carry weight, as well as a bunch of items from your inventory, such as water, stim packs, bottle caps, and your equipped explosives. You can configure which items you want on your bar, and set custom items if you want. Not only that, but you can also add a clock widget so you can keep track of what time it is in game. There's even a setting for it which makes the clock turn red if you haven't saved in a while, so now you have a friendly reminder to do so. Another useful mod to keep track of the time is Cassand's clock widget mod. With this mod installed, you'll now see what time it is in the real world on every loading screen. It's that simple, so I don't have much else to say. It's just a nice mod to have so you can keep track of your local time without having to take your eyes off the game. Anyway, on to the next mod. This one is called Companion Status HUD, and with this one, you'll now be able to easily track the health, action points, and amount of stim packs your companions have. By default, the HUD will look like a bunch of boring boxes, but the remastered version from toounx will give it some more character. With that mod installed, each companion will have their own individual icon, which is professionally made. If you're running with a modded follower though, then they'll just have a default icon, which is either a Nuka-Cola bottle, or a Vault Boy or Vault Girl, depending on which file you download. I gotta say, I really like the art style. It may not mirror Fallout's, but that's alright, because it looks way better. And one more thing, the HUD itself is set to be in the top right corner by default, but that conflicts with the Active Effects HUD, and sadly, I couldn't figure out how to move that one around. But you can move around the Companion Status HUD with a console command, which you can copy from the mod's Nexus page. After that, just type in some coordinates, and the HUD will move around. It should be easy enough. For all you survival players out there, you may want to try out Survival Stats Widget Redone by toounx. Its goal is to make the survival status effects a little bit easier to keep track of. From the MCM, you can configure how your new icons will look. You can now accompany your widgets with descriptions, percentages, or even a bar that measures your survival status effects. While you're here, you can also configure where the HUD icons are placed. What's really cool is that you can simply drag the icons around on your screen, instead of having to type in coordinates. So it just makes it a bit easier to manage. So at this point, we've got a lot of HUD going on here, and you may not want all of it on your screen at every given time. If that's the case, then Immersive HUD from Gopher would be a great mod to use. With this one, you could simply toggle your HUD on or off via a hotkey, but you can also set the HUD to automatically turn back on under certain circumstances. So if your health or AP falls below a certain threshold, the bar will show back up and let you know. You can also configure which HUD elements turn off after pressing the toggle button, in case you don't want everything being invisible. So it's a rather simple mod, but I've always found it useful, and it keeps my screen clean whenever I need it to be. Well, that's pretty much all I got for now. If you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe, and all that good stuff. If I missed any HUD mods that you think would be a good addition to this list, then let me know in the comments, and I'll have to try them out. But for now, I'm all done here, so I'll see y'all in the next video.